Hey everyone, welcome to Pineapple Knits, a video cast about knitting and spinning. I'm Marina, and you can connect with me on the web at Pineapple Yarn. I'm most active on Instagram. You can also visit my hand-dyed yarn company at pineappleyarn.com. Thank you so much for joining me again this week, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I'm coming to you today from the South Carolina coast where we just experienced a hurricane. I guess it's that time of year. It was Hurricane Dorian. The eye of the hurricane passed right up the coast, very close to us. It didn't quite make landfall, but it was an experience nonetheless. I will talk a little more about that later in the episode. But first I'm going to share with you what I'm drinking today. This is one of my all-time favorite mugs from David's Tea. It's color changing, so that's super fun. It has a big sun on the other side. And I'm actually drinking a tea from David's Tea. It's called, I think it's called Gingerbread or Gingerbread Cookie. I'll put a link to it if it's still in stock. But it's a really good rooibos tea. It's kind of like your chai flavor, but not, it just has the spices in it. It's so good, I love it. But this is all I'm doing for fall right now. It's still low 80s here. It's beautiful weather, but it is definitely not fall weather. I actually had a shawl out that I was going to wear during the episode, and yeah, no, it's not going to happen today. But I'm sure all of you, or most of you who are north of here, are definitely experiencing fall and feeling it cool down a little more. So that's really exciting. But yeah, I'm on a little bit of a time crunch today. School has started back up, which means school activities, or I shouldn't say school activities, but school year activities. And today's the first day that we have for some of them, and my schedule's gonna get a little busy here. I feel like I really limit the amount of activities my children have because I want them to be kids and just have free time as well. And I don't like to run to so many activities, I'll be honest. But yeah, so we have activities today, and since I've switched to a podcast every other week, I just have more content to cover. So I'm gonna get started on this. I don't have any finished objects this week. I actually did have one. I'll cover it in spinning. It is not a finished object any longer because I had to rip it out. So let me show you basically what I've been knitting on this week. The first I'm going to show you is a sock tube that I've been working on. This was kind of a leftover little ball of yarn from Eat Knit Dye. Margaret is such a talented dyer. I really love her yarn. I think it is so beautiful. And several years ago, I bought this from her and made a pair of socks for my husband. It is the only pair of socks I've ever made for him because he didn't really care for them. So I had some left over. And the funny thing is, I might be wrong because it was several years ago. I believe it was 100 grams of striped yarn, and then it also had maybe 20 grams of a coordinating solid or tonal color. I don't remember exactly, but I do know that not only did I knit his socks, he has average men's foot size. I knit a pair of socks for my daughter because she loves my husband so much and wants to be like him. So I made her a pair of socks. And then now this is, several years. That was in Hawaii. So I'm maybe 4 years ago I knit this. But anyway, I had this leftover yarn and wanted to use all the rest of the yarn for my son. And so I knit this sock tube. I cast on, I believe, 48 stitches. And I just recently slipped this on his little chubby leg and it barely fits with 48 stitches, which is, he's a year and a half. I just kind of figured it would fit. It looks like it fit. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm definitely going to finish these and just, you know, if they fit him, great. And if not, I will give them to someone else because this is such a cute colorway. Maybe cute is the wrong word. I love the stripes in this and all the colors. I really like this. And the yarn is dyed beautifully. So what I'm going to do, I know I've explained socks, the way I do socks or using leftover yarn before. Basically, I just cast on from this end and just knit all the way around magic loop. So I have, I use Addi rocket needles because they are the sharpest and they're very sharp. I don't know if they're the sharpest, but they're very slippery and I love them. But this is what the needles look like. And then you just have this long cord and you knit down one side and just flip it over and knit down the other side. Lots of tutorials, I'm not going to go into that now, but when I'm done with all of my yarn, I fold it and I can see, you could measure, you could fold, whatever you want to do, and I find where there's half. So lucky me, I have a stripe, or I should say the intersection of two stripes where the half is. What I'll do is I'll just pick up those stitches and on either side of that and begin the toes. But what I'm going to do on this end, I'm actually going to find a coordinating color and just knit a cuff. And then on this side, I will pick up the right leg of all the stitches and knit a cuff from there as well. I could have done a provisional cast on. I didn't. I'm not super perfectionist or precious about this. This is just using up leftover yarn. I'm not really looking for perfection, especially with kid socks. They're great practice, and yeah, so I will show you as I progress with that. But oh, I cannot believe, I really hope these fit him because I love this yarn, and yeah, I think they'd be really cute on him. But they'd make a really cute gift too, and I'm not even sure about the length really. If I put a toe and a cuff on, they might not be long enough for his feet. It always looks like it's going to be long enough, especially because you're adding a heel. But yeah, once you get a little foot in there, and I don't know. We'll just see. They might be a gift knit and that'll be okay. But for me, I don't know what it is. I always think my kids are smaller than they actually are. And so with him, I was thinking, oh, certainly 48 stitches is going to be enough. That was on a size 0 or 2 millimeter needle also. I'm a very loose knitter, so that small size works out for me. But I just mentioned about ripping out a project as well. That was a hat I knit him, and it was too small around, it was too tight, and it was also too short. So he's just bigger than I think he is, and yeah, it's a good thing he's small because his knits are short. They don't take very long. But let me show you what else I'm working on. All right, I am going to show you the Spoondrift mystery knit along, and I've been knitting on this for weeks now. I'll put a timestamp probably right here and let you know if you don't want the surprise spoiled. Just go ahead and skip forward to that. But I have really, really loved this mystery knit along, and I think part of it is that the clues are, you know, it's a simple knit. The clues are spread 2 weeks apart, and so you don't have a massive clue every week. You have enough time to kind of catch up, and so it's perfect for this time of my life. It's just what I needed. But I added the third color, and I cannot tell you how much I love this right now. It is very large, and I don't have a large enough cable, so it's all smushed up, but I'll show you. So here's the beginning, And then the part on the bottom is the most recent clue. You can see that purple color in there. That is my yarn, pineapple yarn, in the color Heliotrope. And it is, I'm alternating it every other row with this pink. And that is Madelinetosh in the colorway Voodoo. And I know I've said in recent podcasts how much I love it, and that hasn't stopped. I really love it. And then further up, and I'm holding this upside down, but further up you can kind of see that beautiful neon orange color. That is Neon Coral from Pineapple Yarn, and that is, I think that might be my favorite tonal that I dye. It is really beautiful. So, so beautiful. But I think with all of these colors together, they're super beautiful all together. I'm just really loving how this is turning out. Now the pattern itself is not a fade. And I think I have it posted in the Ravelry group. There is a Ravelry thread on, I should say it's Alicia Plummer, that's the designer. On her group, on Ravelry, she actually has a thread. Pretty sure everyone's knitting this with some soft neutrals, which is really beautiful because you can see the texture better. I just decided to go a little crazy because these are all sparkle yarns too. It's okay. But I love it so much. And this is clue 7, and I am not quite finished with it. I'm sorry, this is clue 6, and I think there are 7 clues. So by the last clue, I will definitely have run out of the Voodoo, the pink yarn. I have, and I haven't weighed it. Y'all know I love weighing yarn. I love my scale. But this is how much I have left. I have the tiniest amount left. I would say maybe this is a couple of grams at the most. It's a beautiful single ply from Madelinetosh. It has the hollow glitter in it. It's really beautiful. I'm gonna try and give you a close-up of the current clue I'm knitting on, so you can see how both of those are playing together. It's just a really beautiful pattern. And then you can see where that pink, I did do a solid band of the Voodoo pink, and that was the last clue. I've just been winging this. Since it's a mystery knit along, I didn't really know what patterns, textures, even I didn't know how large the shawl would be. I believe it calls for 2 full 100 gram skeins of fingering weight yarn. And the Voodoo was the full 100 grams when I began of fingering weight, and then the other 2 were just kind of left over. So I threw them together and I thought it would be really pretty. So anyway, this is, it's going to be triangular shaped, and yeah, it's so pretty so far. It's going to be really, really pretty when it's done. But I've really enjoyed it and continuing to enjoy it despite the long rows. And, but I think I will be ready for it to be done by clue 7. You know, only because I have this shawl, I have the, the sweater I'm working on. What is the sweater? Sunshine Coast? Yes, let me look. Oh boy. I didn't bring it this week because I haven't done anything. I split the sleeves, but it doesn't really look any different, so I just didn't even bring it. It is the Sunshine Coast sweater, and I love that sweater as well. I am loving that sweater, the yarn, everything. So if you want to see what it looked like, I recommend checking out last week's or the last podcast. You can see the yarn and the pattern, everything. I expect to work on it quite a bit this next week, and so that's good. But I'm going to move on to my next project. During the Hurricane Dorian that came through about a week ago, I just thought it would be a great time to really get a lot of knitting in. And so I did. I actually got some knitting and spinning in. I've wanted to find a shawl, and I know there's some out there, and I really need to look, and I would love your recommendations about this as well. I've been trying to find a shawl pattern that is, it's kind of gauge friendly as far as, or maybe weight friendly. It doesn't matter if you have fingering weight yarn or DK, or maybe it varies between fingering and DK. I really want a really handspun friendly shawl, and I've thought about, I want something that is, it doesn't really matter what the weight of your yarn is, even like amounts, you don't need an exact amount, but it also maximizes the amount of yarn that you have. And so, I want to knit a shawl, but I don't necessarily want a lot of leftover. Yeah, so I've been playing with that idea. And I was talking to my friend Shauna from the Adelaide Cottage podcast, and she was saying you should just design one, which I'm not a designer, and that's just not my thing. But I started thinking about what I like in a shawl, and besides the factors I just mentioned to you, I really would love a shawl that was knit without 500 stitches at the very end. And there's lots of different shawl types out there. There's shawls, I've seen shawls that you cast on 500 stitches and work backwards, which I think is brilliant. But I thought, well, why can't you do a shawl that is kind of a side-by-side? So if you have a shawl that's like this, why can't you just knit that way? I don't know. So I kind of set out and started designing one. And I'll go ahead and show you what I have done so far. This is a spin I did with Shauna from the Adelaide Cottage podcast and Adelaide Cottage Yarns. We were using the Game of Thrones box from Paradise Fibers, which I've mentioned on this podcast before. But this is what I've knit so far. So what I did is I cast on this end and have just been knitting up and down, I guess you could say. So I started from the side and went up, and I just added in my second color. The weight of this yarn is a light fingering weight. It's very light. I am using what I believe is a size 4 needle. Let me see for sure. It is. This is a 3.5 millimeter. And so my goal with this was to use most, if not all, of the handspun that I knit, or that I spun from this box. And I didn't want long rows, and I wanted it to be friendly for my uneven spinning. And I wanted it to be kind of a crescent shape. Crescent or boomerang, not a triangular shawl, and which I think a lot are. Or I didn't want it really deep right here when I wore it, which I think this is going to be deep enough. This is how deep it will be. It'll block out. It's going to be very stretchy. It's just a plain garter stitch right now. Nothing fancy at all. So yeah, this is kind of what I ended up writing out. I'll go ahead and show you for sure. You can see the garter stitch I just cast on. And I've been increasing a certain way, and then when I hit a certain weight that I wanted, I weighed all of my yarn beforehand. When I hit a certain weight, I stop decreasing, and then it'll just be plain stitching all the way across. And then when I hit a certain weight, I also started kind of fading in the second color. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, there's a little bit of math involved and you need a scale, but I am loving this knit so far. I really love it. And I'll just talk about my yarn prep here for a minute. I made Rolags out of this, and so this was the first color. This is such a blend of merino, I think it had merino, mulberry silk, and then Angelina for the sparkle. So this is kind of a blue. You can, I hope you can see the green in it. That is a bright lime green Angelina, kind of sprinkled here and there. Now this was a beautiful, and I do have a cake of this I can show you. This is so beautiful. It has some of the blue mixed in. It also has some of this beautiful charcoal with some white mulberry, I believe it was mulberry silk, I could be wrong. But then it also, I mixed in this great, I wish I could remember what the wool was. I'll post all the details down below, but it had this awesome tweed in it that is this fiery red orange color that I absolutely love. I ended up buying 4 ounces more of just that tweed on their site because I really want to make something out of that. So yeah, that's what I started. I don't think this is any kind of like earth-shattering, you know, shawl design. There are so many beautiful designers out there. I just want a shawl that I can knit and that uses a lot of handspun, that, yeah, uses it all up and is forgiving with the weight of the yarn, varying weights. And so, yeah. I will just keep knitting on this, and I will keep you updated periodically how it's going. I believe this is going to be a work in progress for a while, as I have time to do it. But hopefully, if all goes well, my math is correct, I will end up with a really neat shawl, and I'll be able to share the pattern with you in case you are interested in this kind of design. Now, you know, that being said, this doesn't have to be just for handspun. I think it would be really great to do something like this if you had just some DK weight yarn lying around, you know, some bits here and there, and you wanted to use all of it. That was kind of my idea, is just using up, or, you know, even if you had some single skeins that you wanted to put together and knit a shawl, I think that's great. So we will continue to see how that goes. But for now, that's basically all I've been knitting on this week. I want to go ahead and share with you some of my spinning. I also wanted to mention, as I'm 20 plus minutes in, that if you hear trucks outside, it's because they're cleaning up debris from the hurricane. So that's what that is, nothing I can do about that. But the first spin I wanted to show you is the August Paradise Fiber of the Month Club box, and I showed you when they were on bobbins, but I wanted to show you the finished skeins because I think they're so beautiful. This was hands down one of the most fun, unique, beautiful boxes I've received from Paradise Fibers. If you're not familiar, Paradise Fibers does a Fiber of the Month Club box. I talk about it frequently because I love it, and yeah, if you're interested, I will leave links below. What's really neat is that a lot of times, and I want to say every month, maybe not every month, but they do put that fiber for sale, I think the following month. So for instance, this fiber, I checked, and it actually is for sale on the Paradise Fibers website right now. So I will link to it because it is gorgeous fiber. It was so much fun. It was a blend of I believe merino and some maybe a mulberry silk and flax, but the flax was black flax. And so I'm going to give you a close-up here. If you see the black fibers, like you can see one kind of sticking out right here, but that is black flax, and it had the most interesting texture while spinning it. And I really had to think about, okay, how am I going to work with this? Because the flax fibers are so long and just different from the wool that they're the ones that get spun up. They get taken up, you know, with your spinning before anything else does. And so what I did is I did make rolags from it. I know I had a comment maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, and someone had asked about core spinning, which I think would really work well. I thought it was a great idea, and I probably would have done that if I would have thought of it. But this turned out just really beautifully. I have about 6 ounces here, so quite a bit of fiber, or of yarn, excuse me. And I want to say it's about 450 yards. I don't remember the exact yardage, but this ended up being, I'd say it's a worsted weight, and that's kind of what I was aiming at, because I wanted to make some really cute winter accessories with this. This is going to be plenty for several hats or whatever I want to make. It's going to be plenty. So yeah, I'm so happy about this. My girls are thrilled because they all want hats from it. And yeah, that's what it's going to become, our hats. So yeah, I wanted to show you the finished project. I know I showed you the bobbins last week, but I am just really, really loving this fiber right now, and the colors are just beautiful. And I wasn't sure about how the flax would feel after I spun it and after I blocked it. So I did block it with fairly hot water, and I wanted to full it, which is kind of like felting it. And so I know I've heard that you can take like a small plunger that you use just for fiber. Obviously you don't want to use a toilet plunger for obvious reasons. But if you have like a dedicated plunger for your yarn, you can do that. I just put some gloves, like some thick kitchen gloves, on my hands in some, you know, I would say it's pretty hot water. And pretty sure I used like Dawn dish soap, something like that, and just kind of did what a plunger would do. I mean, pushed my hand up and down, and it worked really well. The flax is very soft, and yeah, so this was fun, a really fun project. I'm glad it's done, and it is ready to knit up. I cannot wait. So the next spinning project I want to show you was also from a Paradise Fibers box, but from last October. And I think you can remember, if you've seen in past podcasts, you'll remember me saying that I thought I'd lost all of my fiber when we moved here. I couldn't find the box for months, and I was really devastated. So I found it, and I was looking through there for my son, and I wanted to knit him a hat. And I knew from last fall that there were several boxes that were kind of earth toned, or you know, more of like a fall feeling, which I wouldn't use that for myself. And so I thought it would be perfect for him. And I found 2 little bits of top there, and I shouldn't say bits. I think they were 1 ounce each. I will put all the details down below because I don't remember off the top of my head. It is from they called it Creepy Cordale, and it was from October last year. And they have some for sale right now, and they're on sale on the Paradise Fibers site. I'll link it below. And I used, I think it's werewolf and not vampire. I don't know. I'll post it below. But this is how it turned out. So gorgeous. I used each color for one ply, and so they just blended together in these absolutely beautiful colors. I was very, very happy how it plied up, how it spun up. I did divide each piece of top into maybe 4 strips just to make it a little easier to spin. It was during the hurricane. I didn't want to challenge myself. Sometimes I will just spin top straight off the top to, you know, no prep or anything, just to kind of, just to challenge myself. Yeah, I didn't really want to do that during the hurricane. I kind of just wanted to go for it. So I think I split each piece of top into 4. It was great. And, yeah, these are beautiful. So this is what I had left over from my son's hat. This was his hat. Like I said, I knit it too small around as well as too short. And I really, you know, normally, like with the socks I showed you, I really, you know, I would just save it for a gift. But, you know, to be totally honest, the Cordale isn't the softest. And so, yeah, I would have my son wear it, whether it's super soft or not. It's just the way it is. But for a gift knit, I like to do, I don't know, you know, do a merino or do, you know, something with something soft in it, a cotton blend, just because not everyone is really into all the breeds of wool of sheep. But it's okay. So I just took it out. It was a very fast knit. I'll put a hat formula that I have. I will list it. Hopefully I will list it on Ravelry. You know how I am about Ravelry. But it was just a very simple hat pattern. And the reason I'm knitting him a hat, it is, like I said, low 80s. He will not need a hat for a while. But he is such a funny kid. He loves hats so much. And one of my daughters was the same way. She wanted to wear hats or something on her head all the time. And, you know, she didn't get upset if she didn't have it or anything, but she would just prefer to wear hats. And he's the same way. If he will wear anything for a hat. And it's so funny to me. Like, he had a project bag of mine that was empty, and he wore it as a hat, and it was shallow. It was, it was this one by Mrs. Brown's Bags, and it's not too deep. It's not very deep, but I didn't have anything in this, and it was unzipped, and he just took it and wore it around for a while. I would say at least an hour he had it on his head. And another time I have these, I have a few baskets that I wove when we lived in Hawaii from coconut palm fronds, and they're just little woven baskets. And he had one of these on. It's not soft. It's not, like, no one wants to wear it as a hat, but he did. And he probably wore that for an hour. It's just playing, you know, he just walking around playing, normal as can be. It is the funniest thing. So I kind of felt like he needed a hat. So I am going to reknit this week. Hopefully I'll be able to show you on the next podcast in 2 weeks, show you the finished object. But that's the story with these. And like I said, Paradise Fibers does have these in the shop right now. And the fiber it's super beautiful. It's a top with many different colors in it, which is just fun. It's just fun to spin. So that's the story with that. And I don't have any other spinning currently. I did not order the subscription to this month's Paradise Fibers box because the spoiler was that it was going to be all about fall, and I didn't want fall colors. So I skipped this month. I've been trying to keep up with every month and spin every month, and I've been successful so far. But I think what I'm going to do is dive into my fiber from past months from the Fiber of the Month Club and spin some of that up this month. So other than that, that's all I've been working on the past couple of weeks. I'm going to give you a quick shop update, news, studio renovation news, kind of what's been going on in the past 2 weeks. Like I said, Hurricane Dorian brushed very close to us here on the coast. It was, I think, maybe a weak Category 3, strong Category 2 storm. So that was, you know, it's never fun seeing a massive storm, especially, you know, headed towards you after it did so much damage in the Bahamas. But I am very, very thankful we were definitely spared from a lot of damage. We do not have that much damage at all, actually. As a matter of fact, during the hurricane itself, during the worst of it, we had power still. I know that's not how it was for everybody, but for my family, we had power. It was really just very thankful for that. And you know, right now we're just, all we're doing is cleaning up debris, and even that isn't that bad. We had no property damage though. Our house was fine. Our vehicles were fine. We had no flooding. So we just had so much to be grateful for and thankful for. And also I wanted to thank all of you who sent messages and well wishes and just kind of checking up. It was really sweet, and I couldn't thank you more for that. Yeah, it really meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my family, and yes, thank you so much for that. But we're kind of moving past that. You know, it did set us back as far as like plans for the studio. Nothing in the studio was damaged, but you know, we weren't, because all of our energy has been working outside and just kind of getting our yard back to normal and whatnot. Yeah, we haven't been working in the studio. Also, the drywall wasn't completely finished, so we couldn't go out there and paint or anything. So probably 2 days ago, our drywall was completely finished, so walls are up, it's ready to paint. I went and put the first coat of primer in there yesterday. It's going to be a lot of painting because the ceilings were textured before, and the drywaller actually smoothed them out, so they're so beautiful. And the thing is though, now I have to prime the ceilings as well. So basically every square inch of the studio will be primed and painted, and you know, that's fine. I think it's going to look so great. And then also I was purchasing some flooring for the studio, and I was doing this probably, it was nearly a week before the hurricane hit here, and I could not get it delivered because the hurricane was coming. And so I've had to wait. Like, I couldn't even order it. There wasn't a delay or anything. The website would not let me order it. So since then I have ordered it. Everything here has been delayed. Any kind of shipment of materials or anything, it's all been delayed because of the hurricane. So we're just kind of moving slow right now. Even my mail was, I didn't receive mail for a week. I just didn't receive mail for a week. So everything's just behind a little bit, which is okay. Can only do what we can, but hopefully it won't set us back too much. And I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks we'll be done, which is crazy. Most of it will be done. I'll still have some trim work, which will need to be done. I think in the next 2 weeks I will have new windows in, and I think everything will probably hit at once because that's how life is. But that's okay because it gives me kind of a time frame of when I need to paint. And I can paint, you know, we're installing ceiling fans, and I have exhaust fans and lights, all those things that need to be installed. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on in the next 2 weeks. Lots of painting, and so that's good. But hopefully it doesn't take too long. The reason being is that I have a lot of plans for pineapple yarn, and one of the things I wanted to do, and I have wanted to do for a while, I just didn't feel like I could with kind of the busyness of my life. I don't know if it's really calmed down that much, but one thing I really want to do is a monthly sock club, or I should say a monthly yarn club, or a monthly fiber club. And so I'd kind of plan to start that in October. I may have to delay it a month. You know, I can't really help these things. So I'll keep you updated as far as what I do with kind of a monthly club. But yeah, I think that would be really fun. I also wanted to remind you that I still have some pre-orders for the Advent calendar, the 2019 Advent calendar. The theme this year is Sun and Salt. It will be a very bold, very bright Advent calendar. I've spoke about it in podcasts past. Please check out my website, pineappleyarn.com, if you're interested and just want to look at it and see what's available. I can't wait to start dyeing that up. That is going to be really fun. I'm going to do all of the minis, so 24 20-gram minis are going to be in kind of a fade. It's going to go from shade to shade to shade to shade. It's going to be beautiful. So what kind of my idea, what I want to do is I am going to be knitting the Adventure Cal, I believe it's the Adventure Cal, with Ambo O'Brien, and using her pattern that she releases this year. I'm going to reserve an advent calendar for myself and I'm going to knit that this year, and so hopefully I can keep up with it and knit 20 grams every day. I don't know if I'll be able to, but you know, you gotta have high goals, right? But yeah, it'll be really fun. And so check that out if you are interested in an advent calendar. I know a lot of them are sold out from dyers, and I will probably be taking that listing down next Sunday or Monday. So coming up here, I think that's the 15th or the 16th, I'll be taking that down. So check it out if you're interested. And thank you so much to all of you who have purchased so far. I have been working on all of the goodies that go in the calendar. I've been pouring candles. I have been making the progress keepers and other things. So excited and so grateful that you have purchased one this year. But other than that, that's it. I will keep you updated on Instagram. I will see you back here in 2 weeks. If you like the podcast, please like the podcast so I can know what kind of content you're interested in. And I'll see you again next time. Have an awesome day. Bye.